I don't know how many people in the audience, how many of you don't want to make money? Anybody want to be poor? I don't.
There was a debate in a Senate committee yesterday about the prohibition of members of Congress to trade stocks. Even among Republicans, this is a controversial idea. Josh Hawley seems to be on the right side of this. It's always kind of hard to tell when you have a liar, hypocrite, traitor like Josh Hawley, who acted like he was all about saving Medicaid and then voted for the very legislation that would destroy it. He's terrible. One of the worst. So this didn't get him out of any of that. There was an argument between him and James Langford yesterday that went on. It was pretty interesting. You could find those clips online. 9-10 minute kind of an argument between them where one of them's like, this seems like it's getting personal, James Langford said. But there was another moment that I want to talk about. It's Rick Scott, who is going to be he's kind of the poster boy for why this is necessary for members of Congress to not be able to trade stock, because they have information you don't have. They have information I don't have. And they're able to make trades before things that they vote for go into effect, impacting the price of whatever stock they're buying, whether it be to sell before the stock goes down or buy before it rises. We're seeing this. We've seen this with Donald Trump's tariff talks, where there's a giant sell-off in the market just before Donald Trump announces what he's going to do, indicating these people had forehand knowledge, insider trading. This has been a conflict issue for decades and decades and decades, and it needs to be dealt with. No member of Congress should be able to trade stocks. No. And Rick Scott freaked out about this, polls the audience as though they're members of the United States Senate. Oh, does anybody want to be poor? I don't. Does anybody want to be poor? He says. The man who, according to Quiver Quantitative, is worth $553.9 million. A man who was the CEO of a company, he quit right when the investigation started, ended up paying over $1 billion in fines, guilty of many felonies for defrauding Medicaid. This is what they say. Quiver Quantitative estimates that Rick Scott is worth $553.9 million as of July 30th, 2025. That was yesterday. This is the second highest net worth in Congress per our live estimates. Scott has approximately $51.5 million invested in publicly traded assets, which Quiver is able to track live. And then there's a link here and you can go find this. But here is Rick Scott polling the audience as though that's the point of the legislation, that if he is unable to trade, he will be poor. Apparently, he'll lose his $555 million and be poor if he's unable to do insider trading, unlike the rest of us who would go to jail for that crime. Watch this whine fest from this whiner, Rick Scott.
I own operating businesses. But somehow it's suspect because I made money. I don't know how many people in the audience, how many of you don't want to make money? Anybody want to be poor? I don't. Right? So this idea that we're going to attack people because they make money is wrong. Is absolutely wrong. We should cherish all of our different backgrounds. Every one of us has a different background. I've got a business background. But what I was just accused of is making money, and somehow I can't be fair and do things the right way. So I think it's disgusting what is going on here. So, but I agree with I completely agree with you. We've got to stop people from trading stocks. But this is way different. This is an attack against the president, attack against the vice president. That's what this is. So I think it's wrong.
Attack against the president, attack against the vice president. This deals with members of Congress buying stock. Is Donald Trump a member of the House of Representatives or a senator and nobody knew? This has nothing to do with Donald Trump. Listen, it would be great if the Senate was setting its attention to all of the conflicts of interest and the violations of the Emoluments Clause of the Constitution of the United States that prohibit Donald Trump from profiting from the presidency in some ways, not always. The ethics constraints on the executive branch, the president and vice president, president especially, are non-existent. Non-existent. This is an attempt to enlist the support of Donald Trump for this position. For him to say that I'm being attacked because I make money. We're attacking people because they make money. No, you lying dipshit. Listen, Ichabod Crane, listen. What this does is an attempt to get you not to be able to profit off insider information, to make trades based on conflicts of interest, information you have that the general public does not have. And you're incredulous about it. You are just beside yourself with anger as though you're being attacked, as though you will be made poor when you're worth closer to $1 billion than you are poor. The problem here lies in the fact that this has worked for Republicans for so long, that they have engaged in this class warfare thing where they've enlisted the support of people who will never be anywhere near millionaires, let alone billionaires, and that people support them. They support tax cuts for the wildly wealthy in this country because I guess in their brains, well, when I'm rich, I'll also not want to pay taxes, even though they'll never be rich. I have people I went to high school with who constantly post about, the tax cuts, they're not going to help you. You're not going to benefit from this the big, beautiful bill that was just signed. You make $50,000 a year. You're not going to be helped by it. If you make $100,000 a year, you're not going to be helped by what was just passed. If you make $200,000 a year, you're not going to be helped. You've got to be in an exceedingly high tax bracket, the top 1%. And unless you are, it's time for a little class solidarity, folks. Support the rest of us. Support the people who are in the norm of the American populace. Not the Elon Musks of the world, not the Donald Trumps of the world, not the Rick Scotts of the world. Not the people who defraud Medicaid and have guilty sentences. Their company, of course, in America, we don't punish people. We hold corporations accountable, quote unquote. Rick Scott was able to get himself out, got a sweetheart deal, a massive payout in stocks. Gross. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can comment below. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. Thank you for your participation in this conversation. I'll see you next time. Be genuine. Take care of one another.